Good afternoon. Last week, the Toronto Police Service received anonymous information in relation to a investigation of child sexual exploitation. As a result of the information that we received, officers from 51 Division, the Child Exploitation Section of the Sex Crimes Unit, as well as members from the Child, Youth and Advocacy Center, launched a joint investigation. As a result of this investigation, on Tuesday, March the 4th, 2014, a search warrant was conducted in the area of Sherbourne Street and Wellesley Street East in the City of Toronto. As a result of this search warrant and the investigation, a 28-year-old female and a 31-year-old male were arrested and charged. Sidhu will be appearing at College Park Courts on Friday, March the 7th, 2014. She will be facing 3 charges. Those are in relation to sexual assault, sexual interference, and possession of child pornography. Matthew Wilson will be appearing in College Park Courts on Monday, March the 10th, 2014. Wilson is facing 19 charges in total. Among these charges are sexual assault, sexual interference, making, possessing, and distributing child pornography, luring a child under the age of 16 years, luring a child under the age of 18 years, exposure to a child under the age of 16 years, invitation to sexual touching, and making an agreement with another person to commit the offense of sexual interference. It is alleged that Wazida and Wilson engaged a person under the age of 16 years in a sexual relationship. Furthermore, they communicated online and talked about the sexual abuse of children. Wilson, it is alleged that he met persons under the age of 16 years in person and online and engaged in forms of child exploitation. Wilson has been in possession of and engaged in the distribution of child pornography online, and is further alleged that Wilson has used the internet to make an agreement with another person who he believed had access to a person under the age of 16 years for the purpose of committing a sexual interference upon that child. Displayed beside me is a photograph of Matthew Wilson. The Toronto Police Service is concerned that there may be more victims involved in this case, and we are asking the public if anybody has any information in relation to Wilson or Wazida to please contact us and come forward with that information. It's important to note that this investigation began as a result of a member of the public coming forward with allegations of a criminal nature. Many organizations exist, such as Crime Stoppers, cybertip.ca, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. All of these organizations are there to assist in the reporting of child sexual abuse online and in person. And of course, we encourage people to use these resources and report such allegations. Children should be able to surf the internet free from child sexual exploitation or abuse. Both parents and children need to know how to safeguard themselves against child exploitation and how to report it. Beside me are several pamphlets and booklets with educational material on how to protect children and how to prevent online sexual abuse. In this day and age, parents really need to be aware of the digital devices that children are using, such as smartphones and other portable devices that can access the internet, websites, and other chat programs. All of this availability of digital technology to children unfortunately puts them at risk and makes them vulnerable to online predators. Thank you. If there's any questions.
Can you tell us, sorry, go ahead.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the victims?
I can just tell you that the victims are under the age of 16 years.
Are they, can you tell us if they're underage or teenagers?
I cannot get into any specifics in relation to the victims.
And age, sorry, I may have missed it, but their genders and how many victims?
Right now, we have 2 complainants that are under the age of 16. I can't get into their gender.
Can you tell us,
The charges range from January 1st, 2011, and they date up until the date of the search warrant, March 4th, 2014.
You said some of this activity happened online, and like in what way online?
In what way online? Right now, we're still investigating all of the online part. There were some allegations in relation to Mr. Wilson engaging young persons online and committing offenses online. As well, there was a communication in relation to the distribution of child pornography, which occurred online as well.
Is this in like chat rooms or Facebook, or whereabouts is this happening?
It was on various social networking sites.
can you be more specific at all?
Actually, there were multiple sites and multiple online usages with emails and other things. I don't want to get in specific sites.
And the in-person abuse, when did that occur?
Again, that spans from January 1st, 2011, and those allegations go until December 31st, 2013.
Were the 2 suspects, how were they known to each other? Boyfriend and girlfriend? What was their relationship?
They have a relationship from the past, and they know each other currently now.
Were they in a romantic relationship? Or?
I don't know if they were in a romantic relationship.
You said at the very least, though, with one of the suspects, that there was a sexual relationship, it sounded like between the 3 of them.
There was a sexual assault and sexual interference that occurred. Wazita and Wilson are jointly charged with that, and the victim is a person under the age of 16.
Was it the 2 suspects then that are accused of agreeing to sexually assault someone under the age of 16?
The agreement charge is actually only in relation to Wilson.
So he was agreeing with somebody else online?
That's correct.
Do you know who that person is?
We do.
Not arrested or charged just yet?
Not yet. And there won't be any charges in relation to another person.
There won't be any charges?
No.
What was it? I'm wondering if was it police going undercover? Like, how did you guys end up actually catching them in the act?
In relation to the making an agreement charge, it is in relation to an online investigation conducted by the police.
Was he being like was he selling sexual, was he like children? I'm sorry, I'm guessing.
No, there's no allegations of prostitution or any of that.
Any sense, like, did either of the suspects know any of their victims beforehand, or is this all something that happened, based on online conversations?
There are allegations in which there was in-person encounters. So from that result, obviously, they must have known each other in person. And there's some allegations that stem strictly from the internet.
Was there a certain place in the city where they would go to meet these people in these in-person encounters?
No.
So these should be being used for 3 of years. Were they also at the same time go to school and meet their families over there?
I don't want to give the wrong impression that there was a sustained 3-year of abuse. The allegations are still being investigated. The time frame in relation to the charge is that span, but I'm not indicated that there was a lengthy period of time of abuse.
And can you clarify just was the abuse ongoing for a long period of time or just
We're still investigating how long the actual abuse would have been engaged in.
were these laws going on with these kids living with their families, going to school? That
I can't get into anything about the victim, sorry.
The 2 complainants, were they assaulted in person, or were they connected to the making of child porn?
The charges of sexual assault and sexual interference are in relation to an in-person act.
Was it actually was it the alleged victims that complained, or was it their parents, or some
There was
other?
an anonymous person, or an anonymous complaint that came forward.
More questions? Were they coerced or blackmailed or something into meeting with these people?
They weren't coerced or blackmailed in the usual typical way, and I'm not suggesting that it's part of the allegations. Unfortunately, a lot of victims of online sexual abuse may feel that they need to do certain acts or comply with requests based on fear of being caught or fear of exposure of things that they may have done and so forth. We're still investigating this matter as to all of that took place, but it wasn't in relation to them being bribed or something like that.
The in-person assaults, did they take place at this address at Sherborne and Wellesley, or was it somewhere else?
They took place in the city of Toronto and elsewhere in the province of Ontario.
Nothing more specific at this
Nothing more
point?
specific, no.
And same thing with the making of child porn, any idea where that occurred?
Well, the offense is occurring in the city of Toronto. Thank you very much.